Oh man, that sounds like I have to go up.
Oh, go on, just go. You can do it, man. What's your thoughts, man? What's your thoughts?
So nervous.
Don't be nervous,
You ever
man.
spoken in front of a crowd?
Yeah, all the time.
In a
man.
foreign country?
No.
Okay, it's different.
It is different.
Money has
right?
never been my goal. It's still not. My goal is to do haircuts that don't feel like work. And there's a client that comes in where he goes, I want a line here, I want this faded, I want this blended, I want this exact photo. That feels like work. When a client comes in and they go, I want something weird and different nobody's had, this is what I'm like, this is where I work, and they let me kind of be creative with it, that doesn't feel like work. And so I started finding that different clients had different needs, they had different wants, and I would approach them differently. And more importantly, I would feel different after speaking with them and working with them and dealing with them. And so my goal is not to make more money, it's to do less work while I'm working.
This next client, his haircut is a routine for him. It gives him a small sense of security. He says, I'll be back every other Friday at 3 o'clock to get the usual. How we all have that client.
I work on a very small clientele. I have 40 people who I invited to be clients, and they have a secret password to book with me online on a secret website. And I told them, if you invite somebody, you're out. And not because I want to capitalize. In fact, I charge them very little compared to what I charge anybody else, but because I want to work with people who inspire me and who want the kind of haircuts I like to do. For me, if I have to be repetitive, it feels like work. And so you got to find that out about yourself. Listen to the kind of clients you do, figure out who they are, figure out how they make you feel working with them, and do more of those. So that's what I would say about price raises and all that. Is like, before you think about raising your price, think about the kind of work you like to do, and then figure out how to make that work for you. If you need to do more cuts for less, figure out how to make that, cut things off. Like I know a barbershop, they're an amazing barbershop, but they do very cheap haircuts. It's like 10 euros. And they say, well, if you want a blow dry, we don't do that. And they straight up say, no, we won't do that for you. And they have their line drawn. Because you pay this much, we stop here. If you want more than this, go down the street to this shop that charges more. And I think more shops having that clear defined line will make the industry a better place. If I said no to every blow dry, I could do 50 heads a day. The reason it takes me so long is I spend 10 minutes styling each head. And if I'm gonna spend 10 minutes styling each head, I need to charge enough to make enough money that I can spend 10 minutes on a head to style.
Cool. So this guy doesn't care about cool. This guy barely cares about cool way later after everyone else has already done it. This guy cares about cool, but he's not inventing cool. He's following cool. This guy wants you to work with him to create cool.
And eventually it clicked. I said, you know what? A $5 haircut can work for you if you make it work for you. A $100 haircut can work for you if you make it work for you. And so I used to say, do what I do, do what I do, do what I do, which to me is like this, is very limited scope. And I started meeting people whose philosophy, whose business was outside of what worked for me, and it worked for them too. And what it did is, after being proven wrong, and I'll admit it, I was wrong in the beginning, and I'm still wrong today. Tomorrow I'll learn why I was wrong today. As my scope grew, I realized that there's value in every haircut. Whether you're doing a $5 haircut or a $50 haircut or a $100 haircut, there's a market for it, there's a person for it, there's a purpose for it. And I used to say we should all do more expensive haircuts, but now I know that what it takes to do more expensive haircut feels like work to certain barbers. I don't want to tell anybody to work if they don't want to work. Do the work that doesn't feel like work to you. Because I know barbers who can do a consistent fast fade all day. And if it doesn't feel like work, do that all day. Charge little for it, do a lot of them, move yourself to a place where you can do a lot of them, and figure out how to make that work for you. So I admit that you use the word hypocrite, and it's the truth. Like for a long time, maybe not a full truth, but hypocrite is, I would say this works, everyone should do this. And I realized, no, this worked for me. Maybe it won't work for everybody, and it shouldn't work for everybody because we're not all the same barber. We don't all think the same, we don't all do the same work. You gotta find the work that works for you. If it is a $5 haircut, figure out how to do enough of them, be where you need to be, work at the pace you need to work, figure out how to do a fast enough haircut and a consistent enough haircut to do it. And if that's not the work you want to do, figure out how to do a $100 haircut.
His haircut is a routine for him. It gives him a small sense of security.
Anybody who asks me for anything, I'll give it to them. The difference is, at an event like this, you pay for a ticket, you know I'll be here. You know you can come talk to me. Otherwise, you might happen to run into me in Dublin when I'm here, you know? So, I don't think it's rude on their part. I think I don't think they're wasting an opportunity. They're here to mingle. Even if they're not here to meet me, you know, I'm not the purpose for this event, and I'm not the center of it, even if I'm on stage.
I'll tell you guys something. I mean, I've been barbering all over the world now. I've got to travel all over the world doing this. I'm the world's luckiest barber. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but my hashtag is always world's luckiest barber, because I really am. I mean, like, the fact that I get to be here, I gotta tell you guys, this is the coolest show I've been at, hands down. This is the coolest show. Everything around the show is real and grassroots.
If you turn the camera that way, you see barbers who never met each other today. You see barbers who never met each other before today, who are now like, oh, you work down the street. I never knew you before. And that is what people come to these for. And that's the biggest opportunity I've gotten from coming to events like this, is not being able to hear someone on stage or speak on stage. Yes, that's beneficial to some. And it's like I said about everybody's a different barber. Everybody has different needs. Some people need to meet the barber down the street and go, oh my gosh, you've been my neighbor all along. I never knew you. Let's plan something. And the biggest growth of my own career was doing that, to meet the barbers down the street and to grow and build things with them. So, you know, these events aren't just about the people on stage, it's about the people off the stage. And I've told people for a long time, it's more so about the people off the stage. You come to the event, because I could talk for 45 minutes, you'll get two things out of it. Much like anybody watching this interview, I'm gonna sit and speak here 10, 15, however long the video ends up. You're gonna get one line out of it where you go, that makes sense. And the rest of it, maybe the next time you watch it, you'll catch a second thing. But that was the thing I had to learn about these presentations, is people don't hear every word. They hear one or two big lines. And the feedback I get, if somebody goes, wow, you said this and it really connected, I'll say it next time. Initially, I was trying to be very deliberate in my presentation, and I used to look at my phone and have every line scripted, and I would read off of it. And eventually it clicked. I was like, wait, I don't need to script this because I know what I'm saying. You know, I'm not getting up here talking about how I like my car that I bought last year. I'm getting up here talking about something I've been doing for years and years and years, something I've been successful at doing. And I have to remind myself, like, wait, no matter what you think of yourself, because I don't think much of myself, no matter what you think of yourself, other people for some reason found something about it, so just tell them about you. Tell them about what you've noticed. And I have to admit, as a hairdresser or a barber, it's really tempting when you get an opportunity to do this. You go, okay, I'm gonna look at teachers before me, see how they talk, and talk like them. And that was my first instinct, was I gotta go watch educators to talk like an educator. And I realized all educators talk the same. They go, you gotta establish a weight line here, and it's very scripted, and it's very like, they tell you how to do a haircut, they don't tell you why to do a haircut. And so when I realized that it was so scripted and formulaic, I tried to deliberately break away from that, which is the core of my message, is you look at what the barbers are doing and you go, okay, everybody's doing this, I'm gonna do the opposite. So when I started doing these speeches, I do a very, very rough outline. And about 10 minutes before I came up here, and actually I shooed you away for it, I needed 10 minutes to sit alone and go, okay, what in my life is real right now? What resonates? The last 3 days I've been here, I've been talking to Irish barbers who I know. We've been going to pubs and sitting, and I asked them, what do you charge? What do you want to charge? Who charges the most here? Who do you know that doesn't charge enough? And I'm just asking all these questions, trying to figure out the feeling in the country that I'm not fully familiar with. And today, right before I went on stage, I sat down and on my phone and made notes. That was gum stuck to my hand, it was disgusting. I made very loose notes of points to hit. And so as I was on stage, I would read something and I go, okay, and my brain would go there. And I go, wait, that's big. And you could probably see it when you're filming me. I'd go. And then I would deliver it, because I would realize, oh wait, this will be good.
Is everybody following me? Probably not, because I'm talking about hot dogs at a hair show.
So it's like, I just look at what I've always known to work. I look at ideas that I believe can be big enough to span across American versus Irish versus English. And we have Spaniards in there, and we have Polish in there, and I met so many people in there. And I know from talking with people and talking with you that there are certain, and Maddie's from Canada, and like, you know, certain things that just span across nationalities and across high price to low price. And so I get what the generalized ideas and feelings are. So when I feel like I'm about to hit on something that will translate across the board, then I go, oh wait, oh, this is good. So I'll tell you this, when I was in cosmetology school, she was there. So we dated a little bit in high school, and then in cosmetology school, she was there, and that's when we started dating for reals. And we had an instructor in our school who was on like his 4th marriage, and he said, and this instructor said, and he said, I've been married 4 times now. Being a hairdresser, it's hard to keep a wife. And I remember thinking way back then, I was like 18 years old, I was like, oh, that sucks. As time went on and Allie and I got more serious, I value her. And I started to see things in other people who I talked to, because I try to listen to everybody. And I heard, oh, well, money's the #1 reason for divorce. So we took a finance class together, and never once in our marriage have we fought about money. And somebody else said, oh, well, hairdressers, they divorce, you know, they cheat. They're around women all the time. And I'll be honest, part of the reason I stopped doing women's hair is I didn't want to be tempted. I didn't want to be not around her and have the women coming in thinking that I was great or whatever, because she thought I was great, and I wanted her to keep thinking I was great. And so I would listen to people who have been through it, who have lost a wife, who have had the difficult times, and I'd go, oh shit, that's how it happened for them. I don't want that to happen. And so when I started traveling, I'll be honest, like, you know, every man, they want their alone time, they want their independence, they want to feel like, no, this is my thing. And with my brand and my teaching and my hair, that's about the only thing in my life that I had on my own. Like, we own a home together, we have everything together. And I was like, no, I'm going to work now, this is my thing. And I got really selfish about it. And I looked at it as, I started learning, you know, I'm an introvert. Like, I'll go on stage and I'll talk to people and you think, there's no way he's an introvert. But I enjoy giving out energy, but I require alone to gain energy. And so I used to look at a work trip as a way for me to gain energy. I'd go, okay, wife, you stay at home, I'm gonna go travel and do my thing, and I'll get on stage, but then I'll like be alone and gain energy. And I started finding that it would cause these tiny little problems where, maybe not that she was jealous, but she missed me, I missed her, and we'd have these small little issues. And the reason I did it is I want to save money. I don't want to pay for her flight. I wanted to like, I took that as my alone time. And so what I started doing is I realized I don't need money. Like, that's like, I hope that's the core message through all this, is like, you don't worry about the money will come. So I said, I don't care about the money, I'll pay for her to fly with me. I'll find my own alone time. So when we come travel, I'll tell her, hey, 30 minutes, I'll meet you back here. And I'll have my alone time. But by having her here, there's no rumors. Nobody talks about, oh, Andrew talked to this girl. She has my back. She knows when, like, before I went on stage, I needed to be alone, and I told her that. So she gives me what I need when I need it, and she backs off when I need it. And she never knew how to do that when I separated myself from her for these things. And when I started saying, no, come along, she started to read when I needed it. And she would give it to me, and she, oh shit, this is gold for you, mate. So when I've met couples in the industry where they both do hair and they've been married for 20 years, and I'm like, how'd you do it? And they go, we travel together. And so it's like, if you have a job where you have to be away, find a way to bring her. It'll make you closer together. She'll know you better. You'll know her better. You know when you need space. You know when you need to be together. You know when you need to pray for each other and be together and be warm together, or when he needs to be separate and alone and think. Because I think alone, I figure things out alone. And then as soon as I have it figured out, I need her. And I can't sleep without her next to me. So that's the answer.